Jaya Gora Hare. Welcome to another episode of TwoMuchWise.
This is the Warmup to the Bhagavad Gita series where we discuss and introduce some concepts of the Bhagavad Gita.
All that we speak is what we have learned from spiritualists and perfected teachers from the Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition. Nothing that we say is of our own.
We have another series which is called the Gita Expedition series. It is a more detailed discussion on it where we explore the Gita verse by verse, chapter by chapter.
This episode is better heard than seen. So feel free to hear it while walking, while cooking, while driving, or even while working out.
We've had a lot of fun recording these sessions, and we hope that you too have a good experience hearing these, watching these. Thank you.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
But yeah, it's nice to see you again, Prabhu. We are meeting again. And hopefully we have a very, very good discussion. I just thought this will be a very interesting topic to talk about. The whole world is talking about living life nicely, how to do this, how to do that, and now what are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about dying. uh, uh, we know some people who know you especially say this about you, that this somehow is your favorite topic to talk about. uh, Morbid fantasies that you have. You chat people up on death all the time, so I thought, why not chat you up
I
on
like
death?
attention, and death gets your attention. If you start talking about death,
Death.
everyone starts
Yeah.
listening to you in a very morbid way, but it gets
Yeah.
your attention.
Yeah, death is a great attention grabber. I was telling you recently again, some days ago, that I saw this graffitied on some walls, that what happens after death? Do you want to know? Give us a missed call. It's such a weird thing to, but give us a missed call if you want to know about death. What happens after death? Really? But yeah, I saw that graffitied across walls. In in horrid red colored
Hmm.
spray paint. But yeah, so that's what we're going to talk about.
Super topic.
So yeah,
Lovely
so I'm
choice
going to
of
ask.
topic.
Lovely choice of topic, so lively,
Yeah.
lovely. These are not the
Who
words
can call
we
death lovely? Lively.
yeah, lively. The
Yeah.
word has life in it,
Yeah.
and we're calling it lively.
I
But
actually
it is
find it
actually.
a really interesting topic. In the sense, I really find it enlivening
Yeah,
because it's the only certain thing. We're
yeah,
also scared
yeah,
of uncertainty. The only certain thing is death. So that's very
yeah,
enlivening in a way.
yeah. As certain as death, as sure as
Yeah,
death,
sure
people
as
say,
that.
like they
Mm.
use that. Yeah, as sure as death. Yeah, so let's start, Prabhu, and let's see how where this conversation takes us. So the first question that I want to ask you is that when was the first time that your fancy with death started? When was the first time that you ever started thinking about it, your first encounters with death? As Satani, okay, you're a chandal, and you deal with dead bodies all the time. It's not like that. So you're a normal person like all of us, going to school, going to college, going to job. You have a wife, you have a family, all of that. Then how is this something that caught your fancy? What happened there? What kind of childhood trauma, shamshan ka heart, did you lose your ball football in, and then you did something like that happen? What happened?
No, this is actually going to be an irony. It wasn't a trauma. I'll tell you my
Yeah.
first memory about death. Such an irony. It's actually my grandfather's death. I was really small. I don't know, maybe
Hmm.
3, 4.
Yeah.
And I remember I went, so my father moved out. So we were not living with our grandfather.
Okay.
My father's brother used to live with him. And then when he passed away, we went to the house.
What year was this?
I
How
don't know.
old were you?
It'll
I
be
don't
around
know. Okay.
95, 96.
Okay.
I'm just adding 3, 4 years to my year of birth. So,
Okay.
uh, and I went to. I better not be wrong. My mother is going to kill me if I'm wrong. But I went to their house, and I have this very vivid memory. Normally, you don't have much memories from 3, 4 year old, but I can
Yeah.
easily picture it. I was in their drawing room. We call it drawing room here in North India, in Delhi at least, or living room. I was the only one everyone else was out in the veranda where his body was and the rituals were
Yeah.
we conduct. I was the only one in that room, and I had a nice yellow balloon, and I was very happily playing with it. I didn't care, but I just remember this
Yeah.
because, and this was happening because every time I used to go and ask my mom, dad, or any other relatives that what is happening, everybody would say
Yeah.
nothing, nothing, nothing. And nobody would talk,
Yeah.
tell me about it. "Ah, okay,
Yeah.
fine, nothing's
Yeah.
happening." And of course, a
Yeah.
3 4 4 year old not living with your grandfather, I had a very distant relationship with him. So for
Yeah. Of course.
me,
Yeah.
I was never asking where did he go, what has happened. But this is a vivid memory. Nobody wants to talk about death, like right from childhood. So it wasn't trauma for me. I was having a good time because I got a full room and a balloon to play with. Empty
Yeah.
room and a balloon to
Yeah.
play with. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you?
So that's your first memory of ever, getting even close to some
Yeah.
death or anything. I same here. I mean, I'm sure for many of us, it's the grandparents or grandparents, maybe they're passing away. Basically, that might be the closest memory I remember. I remember that. Hearing about my grandfather having some heart issue or something like that. I still remember, it's so vivid, the memory. I was drawing something and I overheard this conversation and I started drawing my grandfather, and
What?
I below that I just wrote heart attack and
At least they
with
told
wrong
you.
spelling.
At least they told you what happened to you.
Yeah.
Wrong spelling.
And they didn't say nothing, nothing, nothing. I didn't tell me. They were having a conversation, and as is my habit even now, I was eavesdropping. So I wrote grandfather, and I made heart attack, and I still remember that I misspelled it. That's why I remember it. I wrote HART, ATTAK, and this was one word, heart attack. So that's how I spelled it, and I left it. But once we started to go visit him just to see how he is. He hadn't passed away yet, I think. I saw the whole situation change. Like I saw I could feel that there is a change in the vibe. I had more of a relationship with my grandfather, so I knew there was something wrong. Like there was something wrong, kuch to gadbad hai and everything. And we reached. He had passed away. I still remember everybody was crying, and again they was trying to keep me away. So I was in a room. My grandfather was in the veranda outside in the driveway, and I mean his body was there, and everybody was crying, and nobody, I wanted to see ki kya ho raha, what's happening. I wasn't particularly sad. I don't know why, what's wrong with me, that I wasn't sad, but somehow everybody was crying, and I just wanted to see what's happening. And people were shunning me away. Then, no, you
Yeah.
don't see, you
Yeah.
don't see, you don't see. And yeah, this is the first thing that I remember. But I also, now in this conversation while we were talking, I remembered that actually that is not, I mean, that might be really what impacts you, and that you still remember. You also remember, I remember. These are things that we remember. But we have, even in our childhood, we do deal with, a lot of us, me, my friends, uh, dealt with death in a very strange way. Death of whom? Insects, or the things that we saw around us, insects, worms, pets. So when we accidentally killed a fly, we accidentally killed a worm or something, we reacted. And I know, I remember this. Some of us reacted in a funny way. uh, I don't know how to say, like, we very funny things as kids we did. But I still remember
Star,
that
star. Tara. Tara.
हाँ, कि अब ये तारा बन गया, like whatever. Even for our grandfathers, we used to somehow, some people, just to reconcile our ki where did that person go, they just say ki what happened to them, they became a star, and we accepted, oh, we became a star, yes, that must be true, right? But for example, insects, we had burial ceremonies for them.
Oh, is it?
Somehow as kids we have this thing
Very
कि
pious people.
अब ये
You were very
मर
pious.
गया है, मैंने, yeah, मैंने मारा है. That guilt was also some, I don't know if that's guilt somewhere there or not or whatever. But we picked that up, उसको ऐसे खोद के डाल के, we even did some prayers. हमें ये पता था कुछ ऐसे होता है. ओम नम 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 नम. No real words, none, no real words. हमने उसके ऊपर कुछ डाला. I remember as kids we doing such things. So we dealt with death in a very strange way. We knew it is something, but we never had, I mean, I especially didn't never had any questions about it, that what happens. Like I know of some kids who have these questions, but I never did. So yeah, apparently you did. So that's the reason why yeah, we'll ask you more about it, that what happened. Like did you, when was it that you first started questioning about it? Because I never did.
Uh, I don't think I started questioning it myself. In the sense, I started here as I started growing spiritually. I started
Mm.
hearing a lot about death, and that's when my perspective changed. Some
This was long. This is after you've grown up and
Yeah, yeah,
everything.
after I've grown up, uh,
Yeah.
when somebody really nudges you and tells you that, hey, listen, why don't you why don't you ever consider whatever you have, whatever you're
Mm.
doing, whatever relationships you have, whatever assets you have, whatever
Yeah.
efforts you're making, it's all going to come to an end at death.
Right.
And people, spiritualists nudge you. They nudge you in a very soft, palatable way.
Yeah.
But when you sit down and you think about it, initially it's disheartening. Okay,
Mm.
because you're like you almost become a nihilist, and you're like, what is, everything's going to come to an end.
Yeah.
But then as soon as you jump over and you start thinking, okay, so it's going to end, but it's not going to
Yeah.
end completely. They tell you, after this set of relationship, these sets of assets, uh, this set of efforts is going to end.
Mm.
But then you'll restart.
Mm.
Then the interesting bit starts. So as I
Mm.
started my spiritual journey, uh,
Yeah.
I was probed about death, and it just resonated too much with me, and it resonates to date. And that's why, if I find someone who's interested in a bit of spirituality, I always go
Yeah.
in with death as the first discussion with them, because it just
Yeah.
resonates with me so much.
Yeah.
It's so mind blowing that we don't talk about it. It's the
Yeah.
only common thing among all human beings.
It is true.
Forget
Yeah.
human
True.
beings, among all species
Oh yeah.
in
Yeah. Yeah.
existence.
Yeah.
It's the only common thing, the only
Oh
common
my God. Yeah.
denominator,
That's true.
where we
That's
don't
true.
talk about it. So,
We don't talk about it. Yeah.
they say, if you want to build a conversation, you talk about commonalities. This is
Commonality.
always going to be a commonality.
Like, "Ah, ये तो common है. This is I don't have if I don't have anything to talk about, I'm gonna see. Listen, you buddy, you are gonna die. I'm gonna die. You wanna talk about it?
So, but
Yeah, but you're saying it's an under asked question. I understand that it's an under asked question, but don't you think it's an overrated question as well? Because as you
mhm.
said, everything that spiritualists, any spiritual path or anything even remotely related to spirituality, religion, whatever, they always talk about क्या लेके आए थे, क्या लेके जाओगे, about Jannat, Jahannam, about heaven and hell, and about the afterlife, right? um all of them talk about this. And but why should we care about death? Nobody's seen what's happening after death. Is there anything after that? Nobody. Why should I care about it? Why should keep thinking about death? When and if I keep thinking about death, when will I live? Living, isn't living more important than death? Why should this focus? Is this just like a gimmick that spiritualists use to just shake you up and to shock you, to troll you, that hey, listen, you're gonna die, and to talk about something that nobody knows about, and just to pique your interest? Is that a thing? Is that an approach?
To answer this, I'll tell you about a very nice incident that I just recall. My father passed away
Huh.
during COVID. Okay,
Hmm.
and a few months after my father passed away, me and my mom,
Yeah.
we were at a neighborhood temple. We were at an ISKCON temple, and there was a very exalted spiritualist, a saint, a renunciate, who was visiting. Yeah, his name is
Okay.
Sachinandan Swami. Huh? Uh,
Okay.
so he was visiting, and we were meeting him. We were sitting with him. We were having a chat with him, and he was very kind to give us a lot of his time. And then
Yeah.
he got in the conversation. He got to know that my father passed away, and he looked at my
Hmm.
mom, and first he said, I'm so sorry, I know what you will be going through right now. It's a
Yeah.
relationship of a life, and now it's no more. And then suddenly he's just talking, okay? And he gets up from his chair, he starts walking, and there was a
Oh.
bathroom. He starts walking
Okay.
towards the bathroom. He's talking, and he's walking, and he goes and he waits outside the bathroom door, and he looks at my
Okay.
mother. He holds the door, and he's like, death is just like this door. He's moved from one room to the other.
Right.
So, what I'm trying to say is, death piques interest, but death is really not the topic to talk about. The topic to
Hmm.
talk about is life on either sides of this door.
of that
either
door.
sides
Yeah,
of the death.
yeah. Well, that's profound. What Maharaj, Sachinanda Maharaj, this, I mean, this is the first time I'm hearing it from you also. And it just, I can just imagine it, visualize it, him doing it in his own sweet, grave
Yeah,
way.
yeah,
And yeah, that's definitely, you'll remember that
yeah,
if someone does that.
absolutely.
Yeah,
And he just stopped there. He allowed us to think, to let it go
yeah,
in. And the the beauty of our practice, specifically
mm,
Krishna consciousness, Hare Krishna movement, is
yeah,
there is a lot of detail about what happens after death.
yeah,
A lot of
yeah. It's not
lot of
abstract.
detail. Like for example, we're talking about Gita these days. So
Yeah,
uh, if you look at the second chapter of Gita, which is
mm,
the first time when Krishna starts speaking, okay,
speaking. Yeah,
in that chapter, from shloka number 12 up to shloka number 30, that is 18 shloka, and each shloka has, let's say, 4 lines, is divided into 4 parts. That
yeah,
that'll be what, 18 into 4, huh? So that's the number of times Krishna
mm,
is talking about soul. He just keeps talking and talking and talking and talking about soul, death, soul moving on from one body to another. So he
yeah,
starts speaking, it's just the beginning, and he's talking so much about soul, death, what happens after death. So there's a lot of detail and richness.
yeah.
So
So you're saying the conversation about death is just a gateway. It's
yeah,
basically to awaken us to the fact, to this another phenomenon called, which you just introduced right now, called soul. That death is basically a gateway to talk about, or to get to know about something which is beyond that metaphorical door of this life. um, and what is passing through is a soul, is us, which is the soul. So that is the reason why you're saying talking about death is important, because it takes us to the conversation of the soul,
yeah,
and that is of essence.
yes, precisely.
Right,
And you know a lot
right.
about the soul. you know, we all know it, but
We've heard about it. Yeah, yeah.
it's
I mean, but really, someone says soul is soul stirring. We use these words in general life also.
uh,
Soul stirring tha, it was, it touched my soul, and soul is a kind of, music also, and all of that. But in reality, we don't know much about the soul. As I said in the Gita wala podcast as well, that these aren't things we just taught and talked about. And yeah, Gita, as you said, Krishna in the Gita second chapter, just as he starts to speak, the first thing that he speaks about is the soul. um yeah, and that's so pertinent, so important to talk about.
yeah. Normally, as you said, in common parlance, even in fact, even in common parlance, we use the term soul to signify something which is deep within us, right? You say it touched
Yeah,
my
deep.
soul.
Deep is the word. Yeah, deep is the word. Yeah, कि सबसे अंदर,
Yeah,
it really, like, it went in.
yeah,
There's nothing, no, there's no other word that we use to go deeper,
yeah.
basically.
It's
Yeah,
so basically we soul is something which signifies so deep that it is almost me.
yeah, yeah,
But Gita
yeah.
says soul is us, like soul is me.
Is you. Yeah, is you. Yeah,
So
yeah,
even in common parlance, we use soul as the self only.
right.
Uh, but the beauty of Gita is it gives you, as we spoke about it, the last time we were discussing Gita, it gives you full clarity. So
Mm.
we do this exercise usually, uh,
Yeah,
whenever we introduce soul to someone, we do this, such a common exercise. We do this: can you touch your head, touch your nose, touch your
yeah,
chest, touch your heart, touch your belly? Okay, touch yourself, touch
yeah.
yourself. And then, like, okay, no, but this is your chest. No, no, but this is your heart. Who are you?
Yeah, they go from the mind, actually. The key, do you know where your mind is?
Yeah,
They're like, mind, mind here,
yeah,
here. So mind ही नहीं पता.
yeah.
हमें soul वाला part तो छोड़ो, mind वाला नहीं पता.
Correct.
In fact, हमें difference ही नहीं पता होता. Mind, heart, soul,
Soul.
like maybe all of this me is all the same, right? But Gita breaks it down really, and yeah, brings it to the soul very quickly.
Yeah,
Krishna brings it to the soul
yeah,
very quickly. Conversation starts with the soul, and then in fact he goes on to break it down, ki you're not the mind, mind is separate from the soul, you're not this body, the body is separate from the soul, all of that he talks about. But he starts from the soul, and yeah, I think that's where death gets us, the conversation of death gets us
Yeah.
to the conversation of the soul. Yeah, I
Actually,
think that that's
there's one very
yeah.
funny thing, you know. Soul is me, mind is
Hmm.
mine, intelligence is mine. It's so funny that our education doesn't start with this. It's
Yeah.
like you
Yeah.
start with the understanding the world around without understanding yourself. And Krishna in Gita, in a way, he's clarifying: first understand yourself, then understand the
Yeah.
things around you.
He turns it upside down on its head कि listen, correct this, ये पहले correct कर लो, we are going the wrong way, if you correct this you will be able to figure things out
Yeah.
nicely.
So
Yeah.
soul is the foundation of spirituality. If we don't
Yeah, it's
understand,
ABCD. Prabhupada says ABCD. Yeah.
like if one finds it very difficult to understand the soul, then there's no point studying spirituality. You can't move ahead.
Spirit, no, like
Yeah,
spirituality is the
spirituality,
study of the
spirit.
spirit.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. The word itself has the word spirit in it.
correct.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
if you know soul, then
Yeah.
death isn't morbid for you.
Yeah, it is in morbid, of course. Yeah.
Death
Why?
means,
Why do you say that?
because if you know what a soul is, that death means the loss of a soul from your
Yeah.
presence, but not the destruction of that soul.
Can we talk about why death is morbid? Like why do people why do all well, I say people, but why do all of us feel death is morbid? Death is something we shouldn't talk about. Death is something inauspicious.
Let's throw reasons, okay? Let's throw reasons
Okay.
together. So one is, of course, you lose the presence of someone who's been with you.
Yeah, and that's valid point. Valid point.
Absolutely. You just
Yeah.
lost someone who's always been with you. One
Yeah.
is that you another is that I can think of, and then you add on, is that there is no certainty of the
What happened to
existence. Yeah, what happened? Are they there, not there? Have they moved on, not moved on? Although we say he's passed on away, he's passed on, he's left or she has left, we
them? Yeah.
still in our head we're not sure, right? Like, are they existing, not
Yeah.
existing? They're decimated forever, for eternity. So that uncertainty
Yeah.
of about a loved one, that's very painful.
Yeah. It's so um we haven't, I don't think we have examined this enough. I mean, as normal everyday people, I don't know if maybe psychologists, psychiatrists, behavioral scientists, all of them have maybe thought about it, but I don't know if we have thought about it, that why is the passing away of someone else so painful for us. But as you said, the first thing is because separation,
Yeah.
कि अब हमारे साथ रहते थे, they were with us, now they're not with us. That is the first one. um, the second one definitely is uncertainty, that what happened to them. We feel bad that he was so young, he was so young that he passed away, he was so young that he passed away. She was it wasn't time yet, it was too early. So it is not about, right now that reason is not about कि मेरे साथ नहीं है, because they're
Yeah.
talking about this
Yeah.
that person, no.
Yeah.
It was too early for them, it was too early for them, इतना सब कुछ करना था, now they won't be able to do. So that actually throws light on this much, that एक्चुअली वी आर जस्ट थिंकिंग यार इनका तो खत्म हो गया, लाइफ वो पूरी जी लेते तो इनके लिए कितना अच्छा हो जाता, दैट
Yeah.
इफ दे हैड लिव द होल लाइफ, if a full life, they would have been so nice for them, it would
Yeah.
have been good for them, etc.
Yeah.
That's why even people who are like 100 or etc, when they pass away, you still feel bad because it was a full life and etc, but you're still okay, you can it's easier to accept that they have lived a full life, a good life, and they passed away, it's fine. That is one, I think, that we don't know what happened to them, we feel that it's something wrong that happened to them, this is something wrong that happened to them,
I'll, I'll,
they didn't get a full
I'll
life.
tell you something very interesting. Intuitively,
Yeah.
intuitively, every individual knows that that person hasn't been destroyed or decimated for eternity.
Yeah,
intuitively.
they never talk about it like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but everyone knows. That's why people
yeah,
continue to use the word swargiya,
yeah,
heaven aboard. Left for is
yeah.
heaven aboard.
Even I've heard the Egyptians or whatever in some I don't know if it was Incas or the Egyptians, whenever they buried their loved ones, they used to put one coin on each eye. That this is something that they will, something they to pay to the boatman, to the
Wow.
metaphorical
Yeah,
boatman who will take them to the next
yeah,
world.
yeah,
So कुछ just as like a token की रख लो ये ताकि you can, it's basically like बच्चों को देते हैं ना कि here keep some money आपके travel में काम आए, it'll help you in your travel, some articles or some things that they love. So that basically shows that we never think, as you correctly pointed out, we never think
yeah,
that okay, this person is totally destroyed, खत्म हो गया है. Like
yeah, yeah,
we always
yeah.
think of it as somewhere, they're somewhere.
Yeah, in our speeches, we'll say he'll be happy to know that this has happened.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah. We'll
we'll
say he's there with us in spirit. We say
yeah,
this.
he's there with us in spirit. He's watching us. He's
He's watching
watching
us. Yeah.
us. हाँ? या फिर in Punjabi families we say अरे वो सुनेंगे तो क्या क्या कह रहे होंगे, क्या सोच रहे होंगे वो. हाँ? So
Yeah.
intuitively we know it. Okay, so there are
Yeah.
we are in today's world,
Yeah.
religion matters very little to us. Huh?
Mm.
So it's not that the religion is pushing us to use swargiya. It's not that religion is pushing us to say heavenly abode or to put
Yeah.
coins on the eyelid. We
Yeah.
intuitively know that he's there, he or she is there, or at least
Yeah.
if not intuitively, then we want to just be happy and accept the fact that there is not permanent decimation for our own
Yeah.
good, for our own relief.
But people can argue this, that maybe this is sentimentalism, that we don't want to accept the fact that someone's destroyed forever. Hence, we basically act like
Yeah,
this.
we can so
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
hence you need you need an entire study to understand this.
Yeah.
And there
Yes.
are two ways to study this. Okay,
Yeah.
the first way to study this is we try on our own. Okay, and there are people who are trying. There are researchers who are studying out of body experiences, who are studying near
Yeah.
death experiences. There's a
Yeah.
very popular researcher, his name is Ian Stevenson, IAN
Mm.
Stevenson. He
Yeah.
has documented over 5,000 over
Yeah.
5,000 cases of reincarnation. Reincarnation is that after death
Whoa.
you have
5,000.
5,000. You can Google it, YouTube
Okay.
him. Okay, and
Ian, what's his name again?
Ian Stevenson. Ian
Ian Stevenson.
Stevenson.
Okay.
Okay, he's
Yeah.
not only documented, his paper reads
Yeah.
evidence. The paper reads evidence of life after death.
Okay.
Okay, so he's providing evidence. What he's basically done is that he's he's identified children
Yeah.
who say that they remember their past life. Okay, he documents
Whoa.
that. He goes
Yeah.
back in time and he checks if
Yeah.
someone like that resided at that place which the child is mentioning. he
Okay.
he documents everything, he gets evidence, and the child has no connection with that place. How is that
Mm.
happening? There is
Yeah.
more, there is another subject, entire piece of study called xenoglossy. xeno
Xenoglossy.
xenoglossy.
Okay. Mm.
Xenoglossy is the paranormal behavior of speaking a
Yeah.
language you have had no
Oh,
exposure
yeah.
to.
I've heard this. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So if a child
Yeah.
is born in, let's say, Navi Mumbai,
Huh.
he's 3 years old, but he's
Yeah.
speaking Mandarin.
What?
Yeah, this is just an example. You can read up about. Just Google xenoglossy. You'll read up about it.
Xenoglossy.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
this is one way. But the
Okay.
problem with this way is that
Yeah. It's experiment.
it's experiment. You're trying to understand something really subtle
Yeah.
with your gross intelligence, gross senses. With your
Yeah.
gross senses and intelligence which operates through gross senses.
Yeah.
So,
And that's the reason why I think it hasn't caught on in the
yeah,
mainstream. That if you're saying 5,000 documented
yeah,
things,
yeah.
it should be taught to us at least in some way in schools or something, right? Ki, no, this is at least as a open-minded conversation in school, that this is a possibility that reincarnation exists. People come back, people take birth, at least as a possibility, just to open people's thinking horizon. It should be taught, but people don't talk about it. People, because it makes them look stupid.
Mhm.
It
Actually,
makes them look like they're talking hocus pocus, basically.
yeah, yeah. And see, the xenoglossy is termed as paranormal. Why?
Hmm.
Because it's not normal, right?
Yeah,
So it's not normal. Then you're confused. Does it really exist?
yeah.
But there is enough sample for you to see, observe that it exists, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little puzzled that why don't we know more about this, and why does it exist in the paranormal realm, and why not in the normal realm? Like, what will it take to make something which is termed as paranormal now to make it into the normal realm? What does it take? 5,000 experiments just by one person, by the way.
We
We don't know about other.
so
Yeah.
so it's paranormal. That implies that normal is that people generally don't remember what they were, what
Huh,
they did
obviously,
in their
I don't
last
remember.
life, right?
I don't remember. Yeah.
Now, if you find a book which
Mm.
tells you that this paranormal is true, and this is the reason why non-normal people do not have memory,
Yeah.
so then it'll make sense to you, right? You'll connect all the dots.
Right.
You know why
Yeah.
normal people don't remember their last lives.
Yeah.
The book says there is reincarnation, and then there is, you
Yeah.
have evidence of some paranormal, so it's all the dots are connected that way.
Okay. So as I understand it, remembering the previous births is the paranormal part, but having previous births or many births is not the paranormal
Yeah,
part, because that is normal and happens to
yeah,
everybody.
yeah,
But some exceptional cases remember
yeah.
them.
A-
So that remembrance part is the
yeah,
paranormal part.
actually, see, the remembrance is normal. I'll tell you how.
Okay.
We all come with an inbuilt set of behaviors, values,
Mm.
what we term as
Yeah.
conditioning.
Right.
This conditioning is actually a remembrance from last lives. For example,
You-
you'll,
Yeah.
you'll, you'll, my nephew, okay? I'll tell you one very
Mm.
interesting thing about my nephew. If my nephew will
Hriday.
see, yeah, his name is Hriday. If he'll,
Yeah.
if he'll see someone getting hurt,
Mm.
okay, or if he'll see some animal, some insect, some human being, it really
Yeah.
pains him. Okay. Nobody
Right.
has taught him this. He's an infant, right? 3, 4 year old.
Yeah.
Nobody has taught him
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, listen,
Yeah.
Kriday, when someone gets hurt, you have to say, oh, nobody has taught him this, right? But his friend is his friend.
Yeah.
The same friend is standing with him, seeing the same thing. He's not feeling that pain.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's asking his father, "ये क्या हो रहा है?" Right? He's just curious. And
Yeah.
this guy by default is curious, and this guy is by default feeling pain.
Pain for the others. Yeah.
This is the remembrance from our past lives. But
Yeah.
these are remembrance of subtle matters.
Yeah.
And why do we remember the subtle bits? And why do we forget the bigger bits? You back.
Yeah. I'm here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm back.
Yeah. Why do we remember the subtle bits and why do we forget the bigger bits? That
Yeah.
reasoning is also explained in the Gita. Because the
Yeah.
subtle bits move with us as we move from one body to the other, as we cross one door, move from one room to the other. But the gross bits are left behind with the body.
Mm.
So all of this knowledge is given, and now you're finding some evidence also.
Yeah. In just this whatever 30 minutes that we've spoken about so many things that sound incredulous, incredible. And there's so much, basically there's so much to know. We spoke about multiple births, we spoke about death and something beyond, we spoke about something, us as souls. We spoke a little bit now about something subtle, something gross. um, all of this is very structurally presented by Krishna in the
Yeah,
Gita.
yeah,
We're talking about it because we have studied the Gita, we've been taught it, and we've talked about it so much. Right now, we're speaking about it as if this is normal,
yeah,
um, normal lingo. But yeah, this is a lot of new information. In fact, each one of these elements can be spoken about at length
yeah,
for a long time. Um, but the question why I want to ask you is, it's very difficult to think all of this.
yeah.
Very difficult. It's difficult to think about all of this. If Krishna is saying that this is important, if spirituality teaches us that this is the thing to talk about, the thing to know, then why is it so difficult for us to talk about it? Why is it so difficult to even get access to it? Why is the world not designed in a way? If our purpose is to know about all this, then the world should be designed in that way. Why isn't the world designed in that way?
It's difficult for the complex. It's very simple
Okay.
for the simple. It's common sense. Krishna, for example, 2.13, it's a very popular shloka. Huh? He
Mm.
explains there so simply. He says, you move from your boyhood to your youth, and then from your youth to your old age. Your
Yeah.
body completely changes. Science
Mm.
says that after every 7 years, all your cells change, right? We know this. You and I know this. We've discussed this. Our body is complete. I am willing to give 1 lakh rupees to that 70-year-old man who will be able to recognize himself in a picture which has a bunch of 7-year olds. He'll be one of them.
Mm.
If he recognizes himself, I'll give him 1 lakh.
Okay.
You get me? As a
I
70-year-old,
get you.
you cannot recognize yourself when you are 7 years old. Your body has completely
Yeah.
changed, but you are the same, right?
Mm.
So, hence, you know that there is some energy within you, which is the soul, which stays with you when your body changes. And then when the
Yeah.
body becomes useless, you just move on to another new body. And then that soul
Mm.
travels with you. And then that soul travels with you with something more, which are the remembrances.
This sounds great, right? This sounds logical. We've heard this, that you change your body constantly anyway in this life. It's just that when death is nothing but you basically move out from this gross body from to another gross body, to, because this has become old, so obviously it can't support you anymore. So iska expiry date aa gaya hai. Now you basically move on to another one. It's as simple as that. Krishna says this in couple of shlokas. In fact, he says this in the second chapter. But I even after I heard this, even after I hear this, it's, I just get out of the world, do my do my work, do my job. I don't think of myself as a soul. I can theoretically accept it, but um, why isn't the world living like this? Why isn't the world, teaching me this? What's happened? What's
I
happened?
have many answers to this. But I know there
Yeah,
is something in your head.
yeah.
And I want to hear it from you first. And then I'll share my point of view.
F- Actually, if we hear about the history, to know why the world is not structured in this way, the answer that made a lot of sense to me personally was that the state of the world currently, to understand that, we have to understand the history of the world as it was. So when we understand that history, I think it gives us a lot of answers. And to put it short, not the history that we learn, which can be 100, 200, 300, 400, 1000 years ago. I mean, in my history books, if I see, the most ancient one was like Harappan civilization, and all of that comes up basically, right? But something which is just beyond, the same scriptures that talk about the soul give us the history of the world as well. And we've talked about this four yugas: Satyug, Treta Yug, Dwapar Yug, Kali Yug. We are in Kali Yug right now, 5,000 years into Kali Yug. So um, that history teaches us that actually the world wasn't this way. The world was in fact designed in a way to learn about the soul only. When we come into this
Yeah.
world, the whole
Man.
system was designed that way. But as with everything in this world, entropy, everything disintegrates and breaks down over time, be that anything which is made out of matter or any system in this world. Just like that, ये जो पूरा system था which was designed to make us think about the soul also has broken down. And because we're at the fag end, almost we're in the last yuga, so we are seeing that part of history basically currently, and we've entered 5000 years into Kali Yuga as well. So that history tells us this. But even in this part of in this current point in time, the system does exist, it's just covered, we have to uncover it. Earlier on, the uncovering part was, you don't need to do the uncovering part. That was the system by default that was given to you. Right now the system has broken down. We have come up with another system which is fully focused just on the material part of things. For to get to know about the spiritual part of things, we just have to uncover things a little bit, and if we get into it, we'll get access to scriptures such as the Gita. And they talk about this very openly, very evidently, with a lot of logic and sense. I think that answer was something that really convinced me. Yeah, I just have to open my eyes, zoom out into history of the world, and that will show me that the world was in fact designed this way. It's still designed that way. It's just that we've broken down the whole system ourselves.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah. You see also what has happened over yugas, and that is evident
Yeah.
from this very yuga. In fact, uh, a microcosm of that yuga timeline and its
Mm.
relation with intelligence of human beings can be seen just in the last 20-30 years. I'll explain how.
Yeah.
Intelligence, one of the ways you can define intelligence is how well you can think of the long term and adjust your
Yeah.
short term also to win in the long term. Okay. Now,
Right.
in the Sat Yuga, in the Dwapar, Treta Yuga, you're always looking at long term. Long term. Long term
Yeah.
means, okay,
Yeah.
soul is going to move into another
Yes.
body, then another body. So I have to think of the soul. I don't have to think of this body only.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
we're sitting in Kali Yuga where I can't think that long term. Okay. How do I know this? Look at the last 20 years. Just 20
Mm.
years. 20 years back, you could go to a village, you could see how people were clear that even in this life, they want peace, happiness, long term satisfaction.
Oh
Right?
yeah.
Now you can see
Yeah.
what. Now you can see what's how it has changed. You go to a village now. Every kid has a phone, has Facebook, and
Yeah.
is looking for instant gratification. Give me short term happiness. Give me short term happiness. Give me short term happiness. So we our perspective has really over the yugas changed from long term to short term,
Oh yes.
and we can see it even now. It's getting shorter and shorter. I remember you mentioning this in one of the conversations that the new thing is 1 second reels, right? You
Yeah.
mentioned
Yeah.
you mentioned it or somebody else in a session mentioned
Yeah.
the new thing is one
Yeah.
second reels, right? So what is
Yeah.
happening? We want gratification, we want results, we want happiness instantly. We've become really short term oriented. Okay.
Yes.
So
Yes.
to
We can see that in
build
all our
that long
apps.
term.
We want 10-minute
Yeah,
deliveries. We want, yeah, in all
yeah,
our apps. We just
yeah,
want it quick right
yeah,
now. Whatever you can give me right now, I'll take it.
yeah,
कल किसने
yeah.
देखा?
Yep. So we have to undergo a massive cultural, educational, psychological change to start building this long term thinking again. And it all starts
That
with
vision. Yeah.
sensitization. By,
Yeah.
by just knowing that you're the soul, just sensitize ourselves. Okay, we're the soul.
Yeah.
Death is not the end. Something is going to happen to
Mm.
me after death. And then after that
Yeah.
sensitization, slowly, if you give me a bit of the culture of, whatever is possible of the Vedic culture, you give me education of the Bhagavad Gita,
Yeah.
slowly, I think it's changed for us, isn't it? We're not scared of death in the
Yeah.
sense we are okay. Let's say we are less scared of death than what we were 15-20 years
Yeah.
back. We're discussing death here and we're laughing, we're smiling, right?
Mm.
So if culture and education
Yeah.
has changed us, it can change still.
And that's such a good point, that that if in just the last 20, 30, 50 years, 100 years, you can see how, especially in India, we've how we used to live, how we live now. It's That is such a good point, because people used to live, it was just common sense, common knowledge. Even if you're not educated, आप अंगूठा छाप भी हो, आपको इतना knowledge था कि this is just not my full life, I'm going to live more, I am
Yeah,
this, ये life
yeah,
after life after life की बात है, and I used to live my
yeah,
life. That was the culture, to live my life according
yeah,
to that principle. And now it's
yeah,
just broken down, and because of whatever education or miseducation that we've been given, we've been now taught to think that wo kitna stupid tha, that culture. You're just you're losing out on real things right now, right, this right now, right at this moment. Whatever you can enjoy, you should, otherwise you're just going to lose out on those enjoyment, because tum pata nahi kya long term ka sochte rehte ho. Something that you've not seen, you're preparing for that. Instead, just do what is there in this moment, and that is miseducation, in fact. And yeah, that system has broken down. You so correctly pointed that out. That's such a great point. We can see this in just the last 50, 20 years. Then obviously, just think about how it was in those yugas, epochs before. Yeah. So do you ever wonder what you were in your previous life? ठीक है, अभी accepted, life था पहले, आगे life है. What have you, is this a question, is it an important question, interesting question? I know it's an important question. My father is very interested in all of this, that previous life and what he was and who he was and what he was doing, etc. Because because he knows all of this, and past life regressions and everything. He's a trained person in all of that. He has a interest in this, how that affects his current life. He connects that. Have you ever wondered about this, what you were in your previous lives,
uh,
etc.?
I would love to know. But
Yeah,
unlike your dad, I've never gone into that territory.
yeah,
But I know I have certain traits which are very unusual, and
mm,
I know these traits are in me and not others because of my previous lives. It's This is the
right,
common sense, right? Like, why am I why is this thing so different in me? Nobody has this, or most people don't
yeah.
have it. So I know I'm getting it from my past lives. But it'll be I would want to know, and then I'll be able to connect the dots. I'll be happy to know, oh, I'm like this because in my last life I was like this.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
What do you think?
Sometimes
You think?
I never think about this. I
Okay.
never think about this.
Uh,
I'm like, maybe because I've had this conversation with my father. Maybe that is what biases me out of it. But I'm like, how does it matter what we were in our previous life? How does it matter? We've had like millions of them. How does it matter?
uh,
How does it matter?
uh,
But obviously, if someone tells me, I'm sure I'll also be interested. Acha, acha, I'll be. I was there. I was this. I did this. Hopefully, I wasn't a murderer, and I'll be fine. I guess.
I think this is a
um,
this is a good opportunity to sort of introduce our past life regression business, make some money. Uh, no, we don't have
yeah.
any such business, but it's a good play. It'll be nice to have this. I think you'll get many clients, lots of money
In
in this.
fact, these things actually, if you just look at these things, past life regressions, etc., in not in a more mystical sense, even right now, also they're seen as a mystical sense, even though they have actual certifications, their academies, etc. It's not merely some babas going around teaching all of this. Educated people are doing this. It's helping them in their actual
Oh, I
lives
didn't know
by
this. I didn't know this. I'm
it was treating their mental mental health issues, physical health issues. It does that. It's not alternative medicine. What mainstream medicine may call it alternative medicine, but it's not alternative. Just yeah, it's just one another path in which people are taking help and trying to resolve things for themselves. But yeah, the point I want to make it with that is key, that shows that there is something beyond.
yeah,
That's the entry gate, which basically is like death wala question, that there is something beyond. Let's get to know something about it. It is what invigorates the mind and makes you ask that question, that where can I find the answer? Boom, here it is. Bhagavad Gita will tell you, Krishna will tell you the answer. We asked you about your previous life, so I'm going to ask you about your next life as well,
ah,
that what do you want to be in your next, and you think you have control over that? Do we have control over it?
oh, Bhagavad Gita tells us we do.
Yeah.
Uh, but I think that maybe be a topic for
Another.
that'll be an entire topic in itself.
Yeah.
But we can stop crossing doors
Yeah. Yeah.
if we
We can
want to.
stop first.
First,
Yeah.
we
If
need
we
to
start
know. First, we need
understanding.
to know if we want
Yeah.
to or not. We want to know
Yeah.
what's beyond these doors, beyond these rooms. What is these
Yeah.
rooms in comparison to what exists outside of these rooms?
Yeah.
And then we can stop. We can just close all doors and get out of this
I think that's the
entire.
beautiful part, that we want to be in control all the time in our lives, while we don't realize that we are never in control. We are so little in control. This information, they say information is power, information is king. This is the information that makes us powerful. In fact, that first you get to know at least what is there outside, what is happening in the whole world, so that we can make that informed choice and live our life. Little in control at least,
The-
but currently we want to be in control. We think we are in control, but we're so not,
the-
because we don't have the information.
You've really touched upon something so profound. I loved it. We all want to be in control.
Yeah.
We are not in control of our death when we can be.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is really
Yeah.
like, this is
Death and
really,
life, we
yeah,
can be in control of
yeah,
what's beyond that
yeah,
door.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Krishna tells you that. Yeah.
Lots in the Gita, lots for to discuss in
Yeah.
future for us also.
So just to conclude, I want to wrap up now.
Yeah.
We're I think around 55 minutes. So just to wrap up, I'd like to ask you one last question, that
Mhm.
all of this information, so much information, what do we do about this? How does knowing all this help us? Yeah.
First of all, we need to understand that there is an entire repository of knowledge which
Mhm.
is beyond the everyday,
Right.
which is beyond how you can do well in your profession, how you can do well as parents, how you can do well for your retirement. It's beyond every day.
Yeah.
Why would you not want to just explore it? Why would you
Yeah.
not want to explore the study of
Yeah.
death? But by death,
Yeah.
again, I mean, why won't you want to explore the study of soul? Why wouldn't you want to explore the study
Yeah.
of life beyond? So,
Yeah.
the first bit is, why not explore? And once
Yeah.
you just explore with the guide, with the
Mm.
teacher, you see what all it reveals,
Yeah.
and then you experiment with those revelations every day practically. The Bhagavad Gita is not a book of philosophy that speculates. It's not a book
Yeah.
about it's not a poem. It's not
Yeah.
aisa hota to kya hota. It is very
Yeah.
specific, very sharp, very pointed.
Yeah.
It tells you all about beyond every day, and then it also tells you how you can control the everyday to be in a better beyond every day, and
Yeah.
what actions you can do. So it starts
Right.
with exploring, like, just study what's the harm, think long term.
Yeah, I mean, as you said earlier, death is something that's the only thing that is certain in our lives. It's
Mm,
going to happen to us.
mm,
Then why are
mm.
you scared about talking about it? We are scared about talking about it because it's uncertain, because we don't know much about it. Here is a chance to not be scared about it and get to know about things.
Uh,
Something that is going to happen certainly to you,
mm.
then we certainly need to know about it, right? That's the intelligent way to approach it. The intelligent way to approach it is not to become a shuturmurg, those ostriches that put their head inside the sand whenever they see danger coming, just because we are scared of something, just because we are clueless about something. In fact, that makes it imperative that we get to know about it, especially when it is something related to something such as so certain, like death. We ought to know about it. That is one. And the second is that our innate nature, as you again mentioned it, intuitively we know that when people pass away, they're somewhere here, somewhere there, ye ho gaya, wo ho gaya, dekh rahe hain, they're looking at us, what will they think, let them pass on peacefully, I hope they're resting in peace,
Yeah.
whatever it is. These are such so many things. Nobody, even if it's a person can say two conflicting things in the same sentence and just be okay with it, because just because we don't know. When someone dies, they can say yeah, wo dekhenge to kya hoga, and they can also say ki wo they've passed away, they're on the next life, they're they're happy wherever they are. How can these two things happen at the same time? How are they watching us as if they're present here, and how are they somewhere else passed on happy also? But we can say the same thing in the these two things in the same sentence, two contradicting things. Why? And we are okay with this, we let it pass. Why? Because we don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So why can't we just reconcile
Yeah.
all of this nicely when we are anyway saying all these things, when we are anyway thinking, believing in all of this? Let's just get to know about it.
Yeah.
No, what's the harm?
Yeah.
As you said,
Yeah. Yeah.
what's the harm?
Yeah. What's the fun?
Gives us clarity, and when we have clarity, I think lesser confusion, more clarity always leads to more peace, less anxiety um, in our lives, especially about something that is so certain, which is death. Death of us, death of our loved ones, death of everybody around us. It is the ultimate truth, at least in this life. Then why not get to know about it?
Yeah. Yeah. Get to know about it and do something about it. You can actually do
Do something
something about
about it.
it.
Yeah, do something about it. Yeah,
Yeah. Nice.
do
Very
something
nice
about it.
one hour. Loved it. I don't know if others will,
Yeah, this
but
was a good
we loved.
conversation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Love. We love talking about death.
Death.
We love it.
Yeah. Death is, what do you say? Lively death. Lovely death.
Lively, lovely conversation about death. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Thank
Thank
you,
you
Prabhu.
so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Prabhu.
Hare
See you
Krishna.
soon. Hare
We'll see you
Krishna.
in the next one.
Jaya Go.